Talk 2 Fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into a classic mystery, one that still captivates people. Imagine a top detective, a champion racehorse just gone, vanished from a locked stable, and then a brutal murder. We are, of course, talking about The Adventure of Silver Blaze. So our mission here is to try and untangle this really complex web of clues, not just, retelling the story, but digging out the hard facts from all the speculation that surrounds it. We want to follow the detective's thought process, really see how he connected these little details that seem totally unrelated to uncover something, well, pretty shocking. It's a real lesson in observation.
Absolutely. And what's so compelling, I think, is just how many layers of deception there are. It's not just about finding the obvious guy. It's about looking past that, questioning your first assumptions and finding those genuine aha moments, the ones that pop up when you apply some real critical thinking to things that don't seem to fit. We'll see how tiny things, even a dog not doing something, end up being incredibly important, surprisingly so. The initial mystery: disappearing horse and a dead trainer.
Okay, so where does this incredible story kick off? Let's paint the picture a bit. We're in the world of high-stakes British horse racing, specifically King's Pyland Stables, out on Dartmoor, which is pretty remote. And the star is Silver Blaze, a beautiful racehorse, the absolute favorite for the big Wessex Cup race, a real champion for his owner, Colonel Ross. And watching over him is his trainer, John Straker. Very dedicated, highly respected former jockey, been with the Colonel for ages. Seemed like a solid setup, right?
Totally solid, or so it seems, until it all just falls apart one morning. The shocking discovery: Silver Blaze is gone from his locked stall, and John Straker is found murdered out on the moor. Now think about the money involved. Horse racing, big bets. Silver Blaze was the heavy favorite, 3-to-1 odds, huge amounts wagered on him. So straight away, you've got a massive motive for someone wanting to, sabotage the horse, or maybe something even darker.
Right. And the things that happen right before this discovery, they're pretty crucial, aren't they? What went down that night?
Well, it really starts Monday night. There's this nervous guy, dressed quite well, named Fitzroy Simpson. He's seen hanging around the stables. The maid, Edith Baxter, sees him, and so does the stable boy, Ned Hunter. Simpson actually tries to bribe them.
Bribe them? For what?
He wants inside information. Tips about Silver Blaze and maybe about a rival horse, Bayard. Ned Hunter, the stable boy, he gets really angry about this, even threatens to set the stable dog on Simpson.
Okay, so a tense confrontation with a suspicious stranger trying to get information. That's already raising flags. But then there's this really weird detail about dinner.
Yeah, this is quite odd. Ned Hunter's supper that night included curried mutton, and later they find out it was laced with powdered opium, enough to knock him out cold for hours.
Opium. So he was drugged.
Completely out of it. And after that whole confrontation, Simpson just disappears, vanishes, no trace. But, that drugged curry, it makes you wonder, how could Simpson, this outsider, have possibly arranged for opium to be put specifically in the stable boy's dinner? It sort of points away from him being the one who actually did the poisoning.
That's a good point. So the night plays out, Hunter's unconscious. What happens when morning comes?
Well, Mrs. Straker wakes up around 7. She realizes her husband, John, never came back inside. He'd gone out around 1 a.m., supposedly to check on the horses because it was raining hard. Her worry turns pretty quickly into panic. And then the awful discovery. Straker's body is found in a dip out on the moor. His head was crushed by a really heavy blow. Vicious. He also had this long, sort of neat cut on his thigh. And clutched in his right hand, a small knife, blade covered in blood. And in his left hand, he's gripping Fitzroy Simpson's distinctive scarf, red and black silk. And, of course, Silver Blaze's stall. Empty. It looks really bad for Simpson's tower. The official investigation, focusing on the obvious suspect.
Okay, so the police show up. Inspector Gregory takes charge. And, well, naturally, all eyes turn straight to Fitzroy Simpson. From Gregory's point of view, this must have looked pretty straightforward, right? Was it basically case closed?
Yeah, on the surface, it looked like a slam dunk. Inspector Gregory, he's described as capable, but maybe a bit conventional in his thinking. He follows the obvious path. And Simpson fits the bill perfectly. He's this guy from a good family who apparently blew his fortune gambling on horses. Now he's basically a small-time bookie.
So, motive.
Clear financial motive. Turns out he'd placed bets, big ones, totaling like £5,000 against Silver Blaze winning. That's huge.
Wow. Okay. And the other evidence.
It seemed overwhelming. He admitted being near the stables, trying to get info. His clothes were soaked, proving he was out in the storm. And he carried this heavy walking stick. They called it a Penang lawyer. Basically, a cane weighted with lead, nasty weapon.
The kind of thing that could definitely cause that head injury.
Exactly. And then the clincher, you'd think, is his scarf found clutched in the dead man's hand. It really does look damning.
But for someone like Holmes, it's almost too neat, isn't it? What were the problems Gregory maybe overlooked because he was so focused on Simpson?
Precisely. Holmes spots the holes right away. First off, Simpson has no injuries, none at all. But Straker died holding a bloody knife. Holmes points out, any decent lawyer would rip that apart. How does a man, a former jockey no less, die without landing a single blow on his attacker holding a knife?
Good point. What else?
Well, how did Simpson get the horse out? They didn't find any duplicate key on him. And the stable window. Way too small for a man to climb through, let alone get a horse out.
So access is a major issue.
Big issue. And then there's the horse itself. Where is Silverblaze? Such a famous, distinctive horse? How do you hide it on Dartmoor, which is pretty sparsely populated? The police don't really have a good answer. Even Watson pipes up with a smart idea. Maybe that cut on Straker's thigh wasn't from a fight. Maybe it was, involuntary, a muscle spasm as he died from the head blow. It is a strange kind of wound for a struggle.
Okay, so the case against Simpson is shaky when you look closely. Then the police bring up these gypsies who are camping nearby. The idea is maybe Simpson handed the horse off to them. But Holmes isn't buying it.
He's definitely skeptical. Quietly so, but you can tell. While, blaming the gypsies offers a convenient way to explain the missing horse, Holmes understands reality. Hiding a horse like Silverblaze, nearly impossible. Selling it, even harder. Too famous. It shows he's already thinking beyond the obvious suspect. He's asking, okay, if it wasn't Simpson, what actually fits all these weird facts? He's shifting from who did it to, wait, how did this actually happen? 3. Holmes' method. Looking beyond the obvious.
And this is really where Holmes shines, isn't it? His whole approach is different. What's the key thing he does that lets him see past what Gregory and everyone else sees?
Well, Holmes gets that the truth often hides in the tiny things that don't quite fit, the anomalies. His first move isn't about chasing Simpson. It's about understanding Straker, the victim, and the exact circumstances. Oh. So he examines the stuff found on Straker's body very closely. And one item is really unusual, this cataract knife.
A cataract knife, like for eye surgery.
Exactly. A very delicate, thin, flexible blade used for incredibly precise eye operations. It's absolutely not a weapon. So why on earth is Straker, a horse trainer, carrying this highly specialized, non-folding surgical tool out on the moor on a stormy night? It makes no sense. It's completely out of place.
That is weird. And then there was something about a bill.
Right. Also in Straker's pocket, a bill from a fancy Bond Street hat shop, a milliner, for an expensive lady's dress, costing £37.50, 22 guineas back then.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. And the bill is made out to a Mr. William Derbyshire, but it's in Straker's pocket. Again, seems odd for a trainer who wasn't, super wealthy. And the final piece here is when Holmes casually asks Mrs. Straker about a very specific dress, dove-colored silk with ostrich feather trimming.
And she denies it.
Firmly denies knowing anything about it. That denial, combined with the bill made out to this Derbyshire name, instantly confirms Holmes' suspicion. Straker was leading some kind of double life. He had someone else, someone with very expensive tastes that he was spending a lot of money on, hidden under this alias.
Wow. So Holmes is already building this picture of Straker's secret life before he even knows how he died. And then he looks at the actual crime scene, the overcoat, for instance.
Yeah, he notices Straker's overcoat wasn't just blown onto a bush by the wind. It was carefully placed there, folded over a gorse bush. That suggests Straker took it off deliberately. He wasn't attacked while wearing it, didn't lose it in a struggle. He took it off for some reason. But the real classic Holmes moment is finding a half-burned wax vesta, basically a big, sturdy match in the mud near the body. And he even tells Inspector Gregory he expected to find it, which just blows your mind, right? How did he know? He already had a theory forming that required a light source right there.
It's incredible how he connects these seemingly random things. So what picture is forming in his mind now? What do these clues tell him about what really happened?
They lead him to some killer deductions. And the most famous one, the absolute classic, is about the dog. The curious incident of the dog in the nighttime.
Right. The dog that didn't bark.
Exactly. The stable dog didn't make a sound when the horse was taken from the stable. And this is like peak Holmes. It teaches you that sometimes the biggest clue isn't something that happened, but something that didn't happen. The absence of the expected event. It forces you to rethink everything. If the dog didn't bark, then whoever took the horse out wasn't a stranger. It was someone the dog knew very well.
Which points directly at
John Straker himself.
Wow. Okay, that flips everything. So what about the drugged curry then? And those sheep Holmes asked about?
Well, the curried mutton confirms the drugging of Ned Hunter was planned ahead. Opium has a taste right, but strong curry would hide it. This means whoever planned it had control over the kitchen, over the meals being served. That rules out Simpson. He couldn't have just walked in and demanded curry be served, let alone leased it.
So Straker likely arranged the drugging himself.
It points that way. And then Holmes asks this seemingly random question, a real long shot, he calls it, about whether any sheep at the stable had gone lame recently. And the stable boy confirms, yeah, 3 sheep suddenly went lame. This suggests Straker was practicing making a very subtle, hard-to-detect injury, a specific kind of a sabotage.
Okay, so Holmes has basically figured out Straker's plan and what likely happened to him. But Silverblaze is still missing. How does he find the horse?
His logic is impeccable. Horses are herd animals, social creatures. If Silverblaze got loose, his instinct would be to find other horses, another stable. So he'd either head back to his own stable, King's Pylon, or maybe towards the rival stables nearby, Mapleton. And Holmes still dismisses the gypsy idea. Too risky, too hard to sell such a famous horse. Just doesn't make practical sense.
It makes sense, so he follows the tracks.
Meticulously. He finds Silverblaze's hoof prints, recognizes the unique shoe type leading across the moor towards Mapleton. He even finds where a man's footprints join the horse's tracks for a bit, and then those same man's prints head back towards Mapleton. Someone found the horse and led it there.
Ah, so that leads him to
Silas Brown, the trainer at the rival Mapleton stables. Holmes confronts him. We don't hear exactly what Holmes says, but he whispers something that makes Brown turn ashen. Absolutely terrified. Holmes knew. Brown had found Silverblaze wandering, saw his chance, hid the horse, and tried to disguise him by painting over his distinctive white markings. 4. The unveiling. Motive, method, and a shocking killer.
Okay, the tension must be incredible by now. It's the day of the big Wessex Cup race. Colonel Ross, the owner, is still beside himself about his missing horse. But Holmes is cool as a cucumber, telling him Silverblaze will run.
He's very confident. And then the race happens. Colonel Ross is totally bewildered because a horse running in his colors, but looking like a different horse, a bay, sort of brown color, absolutely bolts ahead and wins easily by 6 lengths.
He must have been so confused.
Completely baffled. It's only after the race that Holmes performs his little reveal. He takes some spirit of wine, wipes the horse's face and leg, and boom, the paint comes off, revealing Silverblaze's famous white blaze on his forehead and his mottled white foreleg. The colonel is just astonished.
Incredible theater. So the horse is back, the race is won, but the murder isn't solved yet.
Yeah.
And then Holmes drops the bombshell. He knows who killed John Straker.
Yeah, the ultimate reveal. Everyone's gathered, Colonel Ross, Inspector Gregory, and Holmes says he's found the murderer.
And he says
something like, he's right here, in my company at this very moment. Everyone looks around confused. And then Holmes just lays his hand right on Silverblaze's neck. Yes, he says, the horse.
the horse is the murderer. That's just stunning. How does he explain that? How did it all actually happen?
Okay, so here's the full picture Holmes lays out.
Yeah.
It all comes back to Straker's secret double life. Remember William Derbyshire? That was Straker's alias. He had this expensive mistress living way beyond his means, and he was drowning in debt. Massive debt.
So he needed money. Fast.
Desperately. He saw the Wessex Cup as his chance. His plan was ruthless, bet heavily against his own horse, Silverblaze, and then secretly injure him just enough so he couldn't win. A huge payout. Talk about betrayal, right?
Unbelievable. From the trusted trainer. And the method, it wasn't crude poisoning or anything obvious. It involved that weird knife.
Exactly, that cataract knife. His plan was to make a tiny, almost invisible nick on one of Silverblaze's leg tendons. Something that would cause lameness but leave no obvious wound. Very subtle sabotage.
And the sheep. That was his practice run.
That was him perfecting the technique, making sure he could do it just right. He wanted it to look like the horse just went lame naturally before the race.
So, a calculated, cold-blooded plan. What went wrong for Straker out there on the moor?
It seems it was a fatal combination of circumstances. Straker leads Silver Blaze out onto the dark, rainy moor. He takes his coat off. Remember, it was placed on the bush probably to give himself more freedom for the delicate work with the knife. Then, to see what he's doing in the dark, he strikes that large wax vesta, the match Holmes found.
And the horse reacted.
We can only assume. Either the sudden flare of light startled Silver Blaze, or maybe the horse just sensed something was wrong, some kind of malice. Horses are sensitive. Whatever the reason, Silver Blaze instinctively lashed out, kicked backwards with a powerful hind leg, shod with steel horseshoes, and that kick caught Straker square on the forehead, killed him instantly.
Wow. So it was an accident caused by the horse defending itself or just reacting instinctively?
Yeah.
And the cut on his thigh?
That was almost certainly self-inflicted. As he collapsed from the fatal head blow, maybe convulsing, he cut himself with the cataract knife he was holding.
And Simpson's scarf. Just incredibly bad luck for him then.
Pure bad luck. Simpson dropped it earlier when he was running away from Ned Hunter and the dog. Straker must have just picked it up later, maybe thinking he could use it to tie the horse's leg while he made the cut. It ended up being damning circumstantial evidence against the wrong man.
And after Straker died?
Silver Blaze, probably spooked, just bolted. Wandered across the moor until he ended up near Mapleton Stables, where Silas Brown found him, saw an opportunity, and decided to hide him. It was just this perfect storm. Human greed, desperation, secrets, and ultimately an animal's reaction. Outro.
And there you have it. What an amazing complex case. Just shows how every tiny detail, that specific knife, the dog not barking, a burnt match, even a half-shot bill, all became crucial pieces. Holmes put them together to find a killer that, well, nobody could possibly have guessed. Really makes you rethink what evidence even means sometimes.
It really does. It highlights how often the most vital clues aren't the loud, obvious things, but the subtle things that are missing, or the things that just don't fit the narrative everyone expects. You know, true insight often comes from questioning what isn't said, or spotting connections others just dismiss as coincidence.
Exactly. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often in our own lives, maybe we focus too much on the obvious explanation, the loudest voice, instead of looking for those quieter clues, those little inconsistencies that might actually point to the real truth. It's all about separating hard facts from speculation, really.
A valuable skill in any situation, not just solving fictional mysteries. It's about that critical thinking, looking beneath the surface.
Definitely something to think about. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. See you later and Talk to Fluency YouTube channel. Subscribe for more. Bye.
Talk to Fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.